Is Social Security really as secure as the name implies? Or is that comforting label just hiding a problem that we really need to be planning around? If you are nearing retirement, you've probably seen these scary headlines and are right to wonder what that actually means for your paycheck in retirement. What I want to do in this episode is cut through all of the noise with clear and practical steps that you can use right away. I'm here to give you guys simple moves that you can do today to preserve your flexibility and then protect your lifestyle. I'm going to tell you two real stories. One's a friend who got divorced after 9 years of marriage, and also another client that ignored every single convention or rule and started benefits at age 62. If you want fewer headlines and more actionable answers, stay with me. We've got a lot to unpack. Welcome to the show, Growing Her Wealth, the show that gives women like you the straight talk and honest answers you need to help sustain yourself and your wealth throughout your life. I'm your host, Danielle Meister, a financial advisor with Madrona Financial and CPAs. I take you full spectrum: wealth, tax, real estate, estate planning, retirement, and beyond. It feels like common sense to question Social Security's stability, especially when the media headlines are warning about looming shortfalls. It can leave you feeling really stuck and fearful about your retirement plans. Honestly, guys, it's not just you. So, if Social Security is really going bankrupt, what does that look like for us? And if the system is strained in the future, what does that mean for us? Do we need to be rushing out and claiming benefits as soon as possible? Or should we just stop counting on it entirely? If the doom and gloom were 100% true, wouldn't everybody just be hitting the panic button already? So, guys, these questions matter because how we feel about Social Security can influence the major decisions that we're making, right? When we retire, like, are we going to do it at age 62 or age 65? How much do we need to save? And all of the other investment choices that make up our future income sources. All right, guys, listen up. We are going to unpack this today, and I'm not going to get into the doom and gloom. I just want to replace your anxious questions with clarity and practical steps. We're going to go into four things today: the real status of the Social Security system, two, why is this even happening? Third, we're going to go into the key rules that you guys can actually take, ladies, as Social Security planning tips. And the last thing is how to take back control in these somewhat uncertain times. So, the very first thing that I want to unpack here is the truth about Social Security in the future. It is not an all or nothing scenario. Yes, the plan is experiencing some hardship right now, but the headlines that we're seeing, the trust fund is running dry by 2033, it's not the case. The reality is that the trustees report says from 2025 that they are able to pay benefits 100% until 2033. That's if absolutely nothing changes. And in the mid 2030s, they're estimating that if nothing changes, they're still going to be able to pay out 80% of benefits. So this is a real planning opportunity for us. It's significant, absolutely. Nobody wants a 20% pay cut, but it means that the system isn't simply vanishing on us. And right now, it's a solvency gap that you need to plan for and you need to plan around. And what's great is we have a 10-year time horizon to get this thing right. And honestly, I don't think that the political system is going to ignore this. I quite honestly, I think that the system is, the first way to cripple a nation is by cutting Social Security, especially for people who need it the most. Do I think potentially the ultra wealthy could look at some taxes going up on Social Security and maybe some cuts? Yes, but I'm going to tell you my personal opinion is that I don't think we're going to see Social Security go to zero, and I don't think we're going to see massive drops, especially for the people who really need it today. But what I do want to do is I want to plan around it. So if we have planned for a 20% drop in Social Security, if that does end up happening, which is against what I think is going to happen, then we are absolutely securely prepared for the future. Why is the Social Security system feeling strained? It's a shift in demographics. And essentially, there's fewer workers that are supporting more retirees, the baby boomers. Decades ago, say in the 1960s, there were four or five workers paying Social Security for one retiree drawing benefits. Today, ratio is down to something like 2.7 workers to one retiree. And then they're estimating that to fall even further down from 2.7 to 2.1. I want to talk about some of Social Security's nuanced rules and specifically how it's going to affect couples and women in different life situations. So, the very first thing that I want to dive into is these key rules that are designed for spousal benefits. If you are married, okay, you not only have a right to your own retirement benefits. So if you worked and you paid into the Social Security systems and you have credits on your Social Security account, then you're eligible to claim your own benefit or the higher of what is 50% of your spouse's benefit. So here's the case. Let's just say Bob and Joni had 6 kids, and Joni did not work outside the home. She raised the 6 kids, which I'll argue is probably the harder job. But Bob did work outside the home. And so he paid into the Social Security system for, more than 35 years. And he had a decent, high income and had a pretty high, around $4,000 a month income per month. If his income per month is at 4,000, she's able to claim 2,000 as 50% of Bob's Social Security benefit. So when you take the 4,000 plus the 2,000, you get the $6,000 joint income benefit for the two of you. So one thing that I want to be thinking about here, sometimes for some people, it can make sense to delay the higher earning spouse and delaying the claim. Because if you delay, let's just say Bob started his income early and he had to take a reduction. Let's say his 4,000 was reduced down to 3,000. And that's compounded on a monthly, annual basis for the rest of their lives. You think about what a reduction in Social Security could look like over a 30-year retirement. So for some people, some of the times, it makes sense to wait till age 70 so that you can have a higher benefit moving forward. That actually leads in really nicely to the next item I want to get into, which is speaking of widows and survivor benefits. And the delay strategy is a huge factor for married couples. When one spouse dies much earlier than another, you're going to lose the lower of the two Social Security incomes. You'll keep the higher one, but if we're talking about Bob and Joni here, you lost $2,000, you kept 4,000. If he had drawn that Social Security benefit early, then she would be left with a reduced amount. Okay. So these widow benefits have a really special age provision, meaning that survivors can actually receive 100% of a late spouse benefit starting as early as age 60. Usually you have to wait until age 62. But again, if you do select that age 60 early planning strategy and you take it early, you're going to get it at a little bit of a reduced rate. Okay. Planning for one spouse's death, it's not pleasant, but it's important, especially for women who are often 70% of the time the surviving spouse. Okay, another category that we cannot skip over is divorced women, and especially gray divorce. In retirement, there's a much higher chance of divorce today than there ever has been before. So divorce, of course, adds a layer of complexity to Social Security. But the program has provisions in there to protect you. If you are divorced and you were married for at least 10 years, you have essentially the same rights to the benefits on your ex's spouse's record as a current spouse would. Okay? So that goes for both the spousal and survivor benefits. So here's what I mean. For divorced spousal benefits where your ex is still alive, you can claim as early as age 62. And generally, you cannot be remarried, okay? So you have to be unmarried to receive it. And then there's also the divorced survivor benefit. So that is if your ex-husband passed away. A divorced surviving spouse can receive the survivor benefit as early as age 60, just like a widow would, as long as you were married at least 10 years and also unmarried. So you do have benefits here, and I want to make sure that these are within reach, even if we're younger. Like I'm in my mid 40s and I was helping a friend recently going through a divorce, And I was advising on the division of assets, tax implications. They were married for 9 years and divorced. And at the time that this was going down, I'm offering help. I'm a certified divorce financial analyst, and they're in their late 40s and they are not thinking about Social Security. They're brushing it off. And my advice here is that if you're married for 9 years and you haven't hit that 10-year threshold, and let's just, I'm going to make the scenario a little bit extreme here, but let's say that you stayed home with the kids and you have no working Social Security benefit record of your own. That benefit that you might be missing out on could be, call it $50,000 a year that you're leaving on the table. But they just wanted this divorce to be done. And they said, we're not worried about it. We'll be fine. So they were too far along in the divorce proceeding. Emotion had taken over logic. But what I would say is if you are looking at getting divorced and you are at 9 years and 6 months, there may be some wisdom here to pass along that staying in for another 6 months could get you that $50,000 a year annual Social Security benefit, which could amount to $1.5 million over a 30-year retirement. So we're not talking chump change here. It's that 10-year threshold. You need to make it over that hurdle in order to have a right to an ex-spouse's claiming record. One more thing that's probably important to note is that just because you're claiming on an ex-spouse's record, it does not reduce whatever that ex is going to receive. Or if they got remarried and they have a new spouse, it's not removing any of the benefits for that new family. This is an entitlement that Social Security provides to you. It takes nothing from anybody else. And also, you guys, your ex-spouse is not going to be notified. They'll never know that you filed on their record. So put this in your back pocket. It's truly something that you should review if you're eligible. Okay, let's go on to another category of women that I think a lot of times is overlooked, and this is women business owners. And the reason that I find this one so interesting is because women business owners are savvy. They're looking at their finances, but a lot of times what happens is they're planning for this year, especially if you're structured as an S corp. You might be tempted to minimize the salary that you take. And the reason is you're trying to reduce your 12.4% payroll taxes. If you have a traditional job, you get to split that with the employer. But if you're running your own business, you've got to take on that entire payroll tax. So you might be tempted to minimize your salary and instead take more income through distributions, which, guys, this is a legitimate tax strategy in that tax year. But beware, because by lowering your salary, it also means you're lowering Social Security on your earnings record and thus potentially reducing your future benefit. I've had a conversation with a women entrepreneur, and she paid herself very little over the years to reinvest in the business. And she later realized that Social Security benefits were going to be really small as a result. And to compound this, most people that are running their own business, they're just not as likely to have a 401k plan or a Roth or a Simple or even a SEP. It's not as frequent that you're putting away money into a retirement plan because you're really working on investing in the business, which can also be very fruitful long term. So I don't want to discourage reinvesting in a business because I think that's one of the best investments that you can make in your lifetime. So coming back to just how do you maximize Social Security? Well, what you would want to do if you really want to maximize your earning records is you'd want to report higher W-2 earnings each year. And ideally, you want to get up to what's called the wage base limit. It's $168,000 in 2025. Okay, I recognize there's a trade-off. It's tricky being a business owner. But I want you to know that if you want to optimize your 35-year earning record, up to $168,000 per year is what you would put in. And obviously, you've got to weigh the pros and cons with taking distributions. The last thing that I want to get into is probably the question that I get asked most commonly. And this is the timing of benefits. And when should I take Social Security? When should I file? All right. Whether you're a single woman or a couple, you've got a huge nest egg, you've stashed a lot of money away. I do think that there's some merit to taking Social Security earlier to preserve your retirement portfolio. And honestly, I don't want my clients drawing down their nest eggs in order to delay taking Social Security. And especially if you have a plan to leave it as a legacy. If you want to pass that money on, you can pass on a retirement account, but you cannot take Social Security with you. Let me give you a quick story. I've been working with Janet for many, many years. She loves to travel. Europe, Africa, India, across the country, road trips, you name it. She's on a trip every time I talk to her. And this is her happy place. And she's made a personal decision to turn on Social Security early and take the extra income now. She wants to front load her retirement spending. This is a lifestyle choice. It's designing the lifestyle that she wants to live and checking off all of these bucket list destinations. And she is not going to look back and regret these experiences because she is one of the happiest retirees that I work with. She's enjoying time with family and friends, and she has other investment accounts that are earmarked for growing and other income needs that she may need down the road. So it's all been planned for. Another time to think about beginning Social Security a little bit earlier is if we run into a bear market or when markets are volatile. And the reason I might do this is to help reduce it's called sequence of return risk. And this is drawing down a portfolio early in retirement when markets are going sideways or when markets are down. Okay, you're exponentially eroding the principal early in retirement. So turning on Social Security is a strategy to not be dipping into those assets early when markets are down. Okay, I'm going to give you a little devil's advocate here because there's also an argument for delaying Social Security if you have really great health and longevity expectations. It is going to grow at 8% per year until age 70. And like I said earlier, it provides really strong spousal benefits. If you've delayed for one of the spouses until age 70 to get the most out of the higher earning spouse's benefit. But I'll tell you, an internet search is almost always going to tell you to delay. I just think it's more nuanced and it's not typically so straightforward. You need to understand, what is your lifestyle? What does it come down to for you? What are the trade-offs for you? Do you want immediate cash flow? Do you want portfolio preservation? Do you have longevity? Are you doing lifestyle planning? And, how do you value a dollar today versus a dollar in the future? What are your legacy goals? A really great question. I love this. So this is like an exercise in how you value a dollar today is, would you rather, ask yourself, have $100,000 at age 50 or $1,000,000 at age 100? And you can't take it with you. I'll tell you what, I'd way rather have $100,000 at age 50. And that's a personal choice. That's a preference for me. What is the value of a dollar today? The last thing that you can do to boost your confidence in retirement is to boost your retirement backups. And what I mean by that is your personal savings and your investments. So let's do a quick transition here into how we can strengthen other types of income streams if you're actually worried about that 20% cut. How can we look for different Social Security strategies to get the most out of Social Security when we have it? But if we're going to have a 20% cut, I think when I'm planning with a client, one of the most important things that we can be talking about is in advance, how can we stash more away? And how can we turn on more income levers in retirement to have yourself set up appropriately? So as we're approaching retirement, I want you to consider other things. Rental income, designing a portfolio with income producing investments. And I'm not talking just an annuity here, you guys. Alternative investments like private real estate, private credit, which is essentially hard money lending where we're able to get significant rates of return right now, especially if interest rates are elevated. Income dividend generating ETF portfolios, covered call strategies, which gets a little bit more complicated, bonds and bond replacements. There is, of course, lifetime income annuities. And I don't want to poo-poo them too much, but because I'm not just an insurance salesperson, but it definitely has a place and time for the right person. And there's also what are called fixed index universal life products. If you're younger and you have excess cash flow and you don't know where to put it because you've already funded other retirement accounts, we call these Roths for the wealthy. You can generate tax-free income in retirement with these things. So I didn't make the rules, but as of today, a lot of these income generating investments are only available through a licensed wealth advisor like myself. If you're a do it yourself investor, be aware and just know that there's insurance salespeople and there's product pushers and there's people who have just a single product out there. If you need to hire a wealth advisor, interview around. Hire somebody that knows how to plan for your lifestyle, your income, investments, taxes. They have to be able to do everything, otherwise, you're compromised. The key to diversifying your retirement income is having many income streams so that Social Security, and especially the possibility of a reduced Social Security, is not your sole lifeline. I can't personally fix the national financial system or the Social Security system, but you can control your personal finances. For example, just log on to your Social Security statement and pull the latest statement if you haven't done it in a while. They used to get mailed out, and now you have to log on. See what your earnings record looks like. How many credits do you have? Are you maxing out your credits? And another really great idea here is go into your 401k plan, your IRA, your simple, however you're stashing money away for retirement, and just increase your contribution by 1% this year and maybe set it up for future years to have it automatically increase each year. So you can set it and forget it a little bit more. There's small actions, but they can build momentum for your long-term retirement income planning. Okay, guys, those are the steps for today. Get the facts on your benefits. Make smart claiming strategies that are tailored to your life. Beef up your personal savings to cover any possible shortfalls and stay informed. Social Security is important, especially for women and couples, but it's just one piece of the financial picture. You have all the tools and you can learn or find somebody who has the knowledge to navigate all of these challenges. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today on growing her wealth. Please share this with a friend who might be worrying about Social Security or retirement income. Chances are, if you're worried about it, you know somebody who could use these insights. Remember, this show is education only. It should not be considered personalized financial advice. If you want to get in touch, please visit my website, growingherwealth.com. Click the Let's Chat button. I'd love to help you craft a plan that's right for you. And if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep building your wealth.